Thank you. I'm just gonna dive right in like I usually do.
Right
Um,
in.
yeah. I don't like thinking too much because I can talk myself out of stuff pretty easily.
That's very true.
And I
Don't
don't
think
think
too
that's
hard.
a unique problem. Um,
But you're not starting with the building.
no, no, I would never start with the building. I always like to I always like to like think like cardboard cutouts like a diorama and kind of like work up the page, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So there's this like postbox thing, which is the new branding of New Zealand Post, which I don't like. I like the old school one.
Hmm.
Um, and start at the front. And then the next thing is this front edge of the veranda, the signage, which I don't know how it's going to
Whoa,
turn out in terms of
cool.
size, but just just chuck it in.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. And you have this particular way of like bending your buildings. Can you say some things about that?
yeah. So it's not my idea. Um, I really like there's this urban sketcher out of New York called Tommy Kane, who I'm really into his work, and
Mhm.
it's an idea stolen from him. But I think a lot of it is comes from just like you can draw a straight line with your arm, but it's actually not the natural thing to draw. The natural thing is to draw a curve, like from the like a compass with your elbow as the pivot.
Ah,
And so I think a lot of it like is these sort of horizontal lines end up bent and these vertical lines end up straight. That's kind of the idea. But in terms of like what you can get away with, like how much can you push it? Um, I push it less than I used to, I think. Um, but the I've discovered that if you have like clearly joined up lines and like real good line clarity, you can actually get away with almost murder, which is on theme for
the
what we were
theme.
talking about earlier. If you have good line quality, you can do whatever you like so long as the right stuff is joined up, then it will
Yeah,
still
for
read as the thing.
sure. Hmm.
And like I'm also, I think, like always kind of influenced by the size and shape of the paper as well. So like I'll stretch things out to fit whatever the paper is, like make something taller if I'm doing it on a portrait, or make something wider if I'm doing it on a landscape. Like here, this window I'm about to draw is actually wider than it is tall, but in my drawing, it's taller than it is wide, and I don't care. I actually
Uh-huh.
like I actually like that. It's like um, gives you freedom, and so long as you, I think, have these lines kind of joining up and being clear, then you're allowed to do that. Or you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do whatever you like. There's no police coming to get you. But I think that's where a lot of the getting away with wonkiness comes in.
Yeah, if you're confident about it,
Yeah,
it's, it's purposeful.
yeah. It's kind of analogy I like is like the kind of like confident drunk uncle dancing at a wedding, and he doesn't know what he's doing, but his movements are all like he's like, yeah, I got this. Like he thinks he's hot, but he is not. But it's still okay, sort
Hmm.
of.
It's charisma, the confidence.
Yeah.
And I did write confident drunk uncle down. That's a good note. Not like a creepy drunk uncle, but
Yeah, not definitely not that. Um, Kind of like the fun uncle who had
yeah.
just like one too many wines.
Hmm.
Okay. And this has ended
I'm
up. Oh, Jenny?
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to say I'm back for now. I joined via phone hotspot, so I am not using video in hopes that will not kick me out again.
Okay. Okay.
Just wanted to say it's very important to define drunk uncles.
Yeah. Which kind of drunk uncle?
How are we
The good
dealing with?
kind.
This
The
is a
the kind
whimsical,
where
whimsical drunk
the kind
uncle.
of whimsical, fun, adventurous drunk uncle who's a good laugh. I always like to I love drawing these dairies because they always have so much like old advertising material on the windows. And I find that really interesting. I'm not sure why, but
That's a
um,
nice texture.
there's these like kind of things. And I know this is going to all end up relatively dark under here, so I'm not too worried. And I think I'll just blacken this door. I think I'll just make that all black. No going back now.
Mm-hmm. Spot black.
Yeah, you just do like a little bit of black coloring in, and it always makes your drawing better.
That is true. Objective
Like,
fact.
like, yeah. I might like draw a little white over top of that later, but I'm not sure. All right. Working up. The other thing with the wonkiness is stuff should line up when it needs to. So this this veranda part, you can get away with this line being wonky, but you can't get away with this veranda top of the building starting here, if that makes sense. So there's times when I'm like, oh, that needs to line up, and times when it's like, well, I can just take a line on a whimsical adventure.
Yeah, some stuff has to connect and work to have the illusion.
Yeah, it's all a trick. I mean, drawing's not real. It's it's not really a building, it's just a few lines. That's what I mean by drawing's not real.
Hmm.
Um,
I always say drawing is a lie, but I think it's the same thing.
Drawing is a lie. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. This weird sign up here, which is Anchor is a brand of milk, in case people.
You're really pushing that anchor milk here.
Yeah, quite like dairies in New Zealand, like these convenience stores, are not generally a franchise or anything like that, but they are often branded with something like Coca-Cola. Sometimes there's a few that are like cell phone companies. There's a few that are like snack food companies. I wanted that sign to stick out more than that.
Can you talk about your choice of pens so far? There's some questions in the
Yeah,
chat about
sure.
the ink brush and
Oh,
the
okay.
and that one that you're using as well.
The Tombow fudenosuke, I think. I'm not 100% on my Japanese
Hmm.
pronunciation, but it's like a really firm brush pen. I don't know if
Yeah.
with it. So you can get really fine lines and really relatively thick lines. And this is a pentel brush pen that has like an actual nylon bristles on it. That's really good for like, it can't do, it's much softer. It's much harder to control. So I don't use it for drawing so much as for my spot blacks. Just because it's harder to get control with. Are there any other like specific questions in there, or do people just want to know? What?
Is it the hard tip or the soft tip?
It's the hard tip. It's just easier to control. I've used the soft tip, but
yeah, I really like.
I really love it. Yeah, they're super cheap, and they last well. They're like, yeah, reliable. I've talked to you before, Eleanor, about my fear of refilling inks.
Oh yeah. How's that going?
Well, I'm still using this pen, so
I guess.
Talk us through your trauma.
Yeah.
No, I just have two small children.
Oh, okay.
And the idea of having any sort of jar of ink open for any length of time is just like terrifying.
Yeah, that's a good call.
But also I'm really impatient. I don't like waiting for stuff to dry very much. So I quite like that the ink in these kinds of pens is not instantly dry, but pretty good, pretty close, pretty quick.
And they're waterproof.
Yeah. I don't know if this is like archival ink, but if anyone knows, I would love to know.
I always thought it was. Doesn't it say on the pen
it
itself?
Says pigment ink. I don't know if
that's always good.
Yeah, that's
it's a good
better than dye ink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dye ink is evil.
Okay. That's good to know, because I've done some like pretty big commissions with this pen, so hopefully it lasts. Okay, I think that's enough of that.
It's so leaning over.
Yeah, it's wibbly wobbly.
It's got energy.
Yeah, I like deliberately put these outside lines leaning out, and then if you like stack everything up, sort of combination of like Drunk Uncle, and I always think of, I'm really influenced by Dr. Seuss. Really love his drawings. But I think of like a kid's block stack, like, you know, when kids build towers and they go up, but they like are always a bit off. And that's kind of how I sort of construct these buildings, is just by like stacking different things on top of each other. These things going on. There's some stuff in here.
That's a really charming approach, I think.
Yeah. I like that analogy.
Yeah. Also kind of like the shapes or the way the line like tilts outwards. I think it's very fitting for the whole street view thing, because the images are distorted anyways.
Yeah, it's always they're always like composite photos or whatever, aren't they? Like,
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go straight in with
color.
Ooh, acrylic marker.
Yeah, I really like these. I like watercolor as well, but it's just a question of speed right now.
Yeah.
And looking at this, there's actually only two important colors, red and blue, I think, and then I'll put a shadow on top of it at the end.
Are you going to do
hopefully.
anything with the background?
Maybe. If I do, I will just put in a line of watercolor hills and like leave it. That would be my plan. I often don't put it back like I often kind of, it's like treat it a bit like a still life, if that makes sense, of just like, or a portrait kind of thing, and just leave a very simple kind of background. But I don't know. And then, oh, there's some red down here too. I don't know. Some blue in. This is the part where the way to check if acrylic markers is dry is you ram your hand on top of them, and if they smear everywhere, then they're not dry yet.
Oh, good tip.
Yeah, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah.
It always works.
Why do you prefer the acrylic markers versus other markers or pencils or anything else?
These are just what I had right now. I do use I don't use colored pencil much because I don't like sharpening.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main, like I'm a bit lazy. But I like, especially like the flat color of acrylic markers, and I really like them on toned or colored paper, which I've been using quite a lot lately. But yeah, there's something about them that's like very satisfying that transparent like alcohol markers don't have, and they also don't go through the page, and they yeah, these are known
Lots of good
by
reasons.
these are known by my kids as dad's messy pens, because I am once again terrified of kids getting hold of these and drawing in places.
That would be pretty messy.
Yeah, I think
These
it
are
would be
great
pretty.
for drawing on a wall, for example, or
Yeah, it's
On your
just like the
pants.
one
furniture.
for all, every surface. Like it's like, oh
Yeah.
yes, awesome, thank you. Um,
I think what would be the worst pen for a kid to use in a house?
Ooh.
I think
oh, a
actually
jar of
maybe
India,
like a jar of India ink.
jar of India ink, I think.
Okay.
Is that from experience?
No, no.
That's just
I've
a
cleaned.
nightmare.
It's yeah. That's like it's my go-to sort of like trauma response idea. I'm gonna looking at that. I'm gonna put some more black in here.
Yeah.
Um,
So Hita is saying Sharpie. That's what I would have gone with because imagine if someone draws with a Sharpie on a wall and you try to paint over it, you would have to paint over it like 5 times or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
acrylic
printer
markers.
ink.
So
Yeah.
that's very
oh, like
specific.
toner,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like the black dusty toner. That would be terrible.
Brutal.
I think I do wonder if glitter is actually worse than any of this stuff, because you can never really get it out, I don't think. Okay. I need
Oil paint. So much potential for
there's so many
I'm
So many
glad we're
ways it could
talking
go.
about, yeah, glad we're talking about our fears.
This is a spooky, scary session.
Scary.
But a safe
Um,
space.
it's a safe space. Yeah, I am going to make up a shadow here because the photo's just got nothing. So I'm gonna put a big dark shadow over all of this stuff here
Mm.
because otherwise it's going to annoy me. There's no. I would do this in real life as well. I would not be a slave to reality.
That's a nice light gray.
Yeah, these pens have been these markers have been a revelation. The new, I think, in New Zealand at least, of these Faber-Castell waterproof ones.
Mhm.
I really like them. I've also used the watercolor ones that look the same.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I found this really good. This is especially good for when you're doing like quick drawings. I've done a lot of like quick drawings of people with like this pen and like two, like a shadow and a color, and it's really fun and really quick. And works out well. Oh, that's black as well. That should have some sort of shadow too. I think this should have some black. Okay. I missed this.
That was a nice other spot black.
Yeah. And then you can go and put some extra fussing around in here that you don't really need to do. But I think a lot of the times these like little shadows on things. Better make up a shadow for this too. Something like that. That wants to connect up to the grid, otherwise they won't have any service.
Have you been to
Yeah,
this dairy, Andrew?
yeah, it's quite close to my house. And I've always wanted to draw it, but if you look across the road, there's a giant bank. There's not really anywhere to sit. So I was like, this is a good chance to draw something that's
yeah.
close to home.
This is not a good place to sit over here.
Yeah,
No sidewalk.
no, I think there is like a sort of like private street or private like right of way up there, um, but yeah, it's not really the ideal place to hang out for a while. I think I'll call that done. How did I get the time?